how we used to live together, and we babysat each other's children. We lived in total peace. That is why the very religious around the world, we stand in total support. We hurt, we cry with the Palestinians. We are humiliated because the Zionists took our religion and they're using it as a tool to occupy, to intimidate, to silence other people, because if you speak up against them, you're called anti-Semitic. So we the religious communities stand in opposition.
Please lah ya bro, subscribe sekalian juga, enjoy this video, subscribe.
Halo sahabat, kembali lagi di channel Resolusi Pandang, berusaha memandang dunia dengan resolusi kejernihan. Semoga hari ini kalian dalam keadaan sehat walafiat ya, dan senantiasa dalam lindungan Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Amin.
How do you oppose the Zionist movement?
Well, the first thing is we believe. First of all, we do not accept it. We do not participate with them. We have the very religious communities does not serve in the army. Certainly not. They don't go voting. They have nothing to do with the state. We have a rabbinate there. The Zionists made a rabbinate, all for this facade. They masquerade in Jews, so they made a rabbinate with a chief rabbi, and this is all by us. Irrelevant. We have a rabbi. We had in the 1920s, the chief rabbi of the religious community that was living there for hundreds of years was Rabbi Sonnenfeld, and he met with the king of Transjordan in 1920s. That's way before the state, to declare our loyalty and that we don't want to stay. He passed on in 1947, 1948. The chief rabbi was Rabbi Dushinsky. The Zionists then were turning out to be very successful in having the United Nations, through Britain, to get recognized. So Rabbi Sonnenfeld, Rabbi Dushinsky, of blessed memory, this is the records of the United Nations. In 1947, a declaration before the United Nations, he said, "We furthermore wish to express our definite opposition to a Jewish state in any part of Palestine." This is the very religious, representing the religious Jewish community, says we don't want a Jewish state. And these people are imposters, the one are doing it. And the history is, when he passed on, we took it next, you could see hundreds of thousands of people in the streets of Jerusalem taking up our next chief rabbi when he passed on. We have hundreds of thousands of Jews living there now under this adalah, this God-fearing community that does not recognize the authority of the state of Israel. In fact, they demonstrate daily. When they demonstrate and you see children we never carry arms, we're not militant, they get beaten. Old men get assassinated, rabbis. It's unbelievable. You can go to our site, NKUSA, and see, and the world is silent. They don't even talk about the fact that Jews daily are demonstrating against the occupation, and it screams to the skies what is happening, the injustice to the Palestinian people and to the Jewish people who are living there, who refuses to accept this authority.
So, Rabbi, do you ally yourself with other Jews who are not Orthodox, who oppose the state of Israel?
Oh, that is a very good question. We, being that there was the Reform movement like 250 years ago, and our rabbis at that time issued a fatwa, basically.
Okay.
200 of the leading rabbis of Europe, when they said this is a heresy, it's a rebellion against God. You can't reform God's Torah. They don't eat kosher, they don't keep the 10 Commandments, they don't keep the Shabbos, the Sabbath. So they said we're not to be affiliated with them. So we work with the Muslim people, we work with the Palestinian people, and they'll come to the same demonstrations, but we won't have joint activities directly. But if they're there, they do. A lot of them, a lot of people who are Jewish, who are non-religious, they feel it's human rights, or because even other Jewish reasons, that they'll stand up in opposition. There's many, really tens and tens of thousands or more who are opposing the occupation. But we are coming from the core issue that the Zionists are claiming the legitimacy. We are telling the world that they're conning the world. It's unacceptable. So we're coming from the religious state. And here, this is a picture of a girl behind bars. Every boy and girl who turns 17 becomes a criminal from the religious community because they refuse to serve in the army, in the IDF, which is mandatory military service. So these are all very, very critical issues. Why is it so critical for people to understand? Because people, they're very wily, they're very efficient in what they do, the Zionists, and they like to refer to themselves as a Jewish state. They insist to be referred as a Jewish state. Why? Because then they know that if anybody wants to oppose what they're doing, criminal to the Palestinian people, they're taking their homes, they're stealing, they're killing, they're doing so many terrible crimes. But if you say a word, oh, you're speaking against a godly religion, and you're attacked as being anti-Semitic, and now they just made here, they're making a new law, they're trying to pass the IHRA, I think, and that's going to say that if you speak up against Zionism or the state of Israel, it's anti-Semitic. What could be more ludicrous and what could be more unacceptable than such a concept when the very religious communities are being oppressed and insisting, we are Jews. My grandparents were killed in Auschwitz. Most of our communities are immigrants from Europe. We died because we were Jews, because we insisted on remaining this religion, our covenant to God. And we did not accept that because we suffered, that therefore we're going to turn around and occupy another people. We suffered, and now we should go sin against God that we gave our lives for by stealing and killing and doing against God's will. And so we're against the Zionism, and we are being oppressed. The ones of the Jewish people who found a home in Palestine and were living there, these immigrants, and they were living there, they're trying to catch the breath from so much suffering. All of a sudden, they enjoyed being under the authority of the Ottoman Empire, and all of a sudden they're thrown under the Zionist control and told that if you stand up and oppose this rebellion against God, you are thrown into prison, you are a criminal. How does the world take the authority to dictate in our religion what it's, instead of respecting our scholars, which you have here in Canada, if you have in the United States, we have our community, let's say in New York, it's the largest concentration of religious Jews where I lived right across from Manhattan, Williamsburg, Brooklyn, miles and miles, and there's not one single Israeli flag. The chief rabbi of Palestine, Rabbi Teitelbaum, moved there, and these distinguished communities, thriving, illustrious communities with great scholars and pious people and businessmen, and they all insist that we are a religion to serve God, and God forbid that we should accept the occupation. And now if we decide to speak up against this rebellion against God in the name of my religion, and call out to the world that they're imposters, they're using my religion, that we should be, and people who are standing together with us should be accused of being anti-Semitic, that is unjust, it's unacceptable, and we decry that. And that's what we do we try with God's help. We pray to God that He should bring a speedy and peaceful dismantling of the state. At the same time, we go to the United Nations, we go with Palestinian people to cry their hurt, to go to their demonstrations, to try to educate. We go to universities, to colleges, to conferences, and to tell to the politicians, to have them change their approach and not to support the oppression of the Palestinian people.
Oke sahabat, jika informasi ini bermanfaat bagi Anda, jangan lupa untuk subscribe, like, dan share ya. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.